Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to call the Finance and Administration meeting of June 13th to order. I was going to say Madam Clerk, but Mr. Clerk, could you do a roll call, please? Electronic. Just to confirm that all members of the committee are participating, and 3 of them are participating electronically. Mayor Schumer, Councillor Lee, and Councillor Leahy. Any declarations of interest? Being none, adoption of the minutes would be in order. Moved by Councillor Garon and seconded by Councillor McDougall. All those in favor? Opposed? That item's carried. Chair Henry, you have a motion? Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to give you a motion to alter the agenda to bring items 8.2 A, B, and C forward, please.
Seconder for that? Councillor McDougall. All those in favor? Opposed? That item's carried. So we'll deal with the business. There is no business under administration. We'll move to finance. Three reports in front of us. First report is a drainage loan on behalf of the Township of Brock for Mr. Chris Vedersgaard. Commissioner, do you want to speak to this?
Actually, if I may, I just wanted to take a liberty for a moment, and given that it's National Public Service Week and this is our first meeting this week, I wanted to just express appreciation to all staff that have been working so hard to provide service. And I wanted to do an introduction. I have with me today Chanel Jai, who is our new Director of Utility Finance, FIMS, which is our Information Management and our Portfolio Management. And with her, you've been introduced to Dwayne as well, but they're here on behalf of the debt-related reports. So thank you.
Great. There's a report in front of us in regards to Township of Brock in regards to drainage loans. There's a recommendation on the agenda. Get a mover, please. Sorry? Oh, they have all been moved. My apologies. Any questions in regards to this item, If Councillor McDougall, a request, please.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for bringing this forward. One quick question I did have was the loans in regards to the drainage, I don't want to say Drainage Act, but the loans in regards to the drainage permits or construction, is that new in 2023?
So, through the chair, these loans have been in place, this activity has been in place for, well, I've been in the business for 30 years, and we had tile drainage loans when I first started. So this program has been in place for many decades. I'm not sure when it started. It's actually, there's been less that we see in the last number of years than we used to see originally, but it has been in place for a very long time.
Okay, thank you. I hadn't seen this before, and I hadn't seen any of the farmers borrow money for this purpose before, so I was quite interested when I saw it. Thank you.
Any further questions? Being none, there's a motion and a recommendation that's been duly moved. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That item is carried. Next report before us, which has been duly moved and seconded, is the establishment of the debenture committee. Commissioner, you want to speak to this?
Perhaps just very quickly. So this one relates to, as we had talked about in budget, and we've had a number of discussions around the fact that the region will be engaging in a more significant amount of borrowing on our behalf and on behalf of the local municipalities in the coming years. And that means we need to restructure how we borrow. So we traditionally did what's called serial debentures, and those generally are for 70 to 75 million or less. If we need to move away from that, if we're doing larger volumes and amounts of borrowing, and that means that we need to move to what's called bullet debentures and sinking funds, and those require a debenture committee. So this debenture committee is set up to help us essentially advance and modernize how we're dealing with our debt issuance. And it's a bit of a formality because council and this committee already approve all of our debt. So through the budget process. So this committee isn't given any approval to enter into debt that hasn't already been granted. And you've already delegated authority to the Commissioner of Finance to go to the debt markets and deal with our debt syndicate. All that this report does is allow us to be able to sign the bylaws through this committee, because it can cost us a lot of money if we can't close on those offerings within a day or two of the market bids for them. If we have to wait till a regional council meeting, we could lose some opportunities, and timing literally is of the essence for these. So all this does is give us the ability for Chair Henry, who signs his life away on these now, he will be able to sign them without waiting for a council meeting. We'll do these through this debenture committee. So it's just the authorization essentially of the bylaws.
Mayor Schumer?
Thank you very much, and through you, Mr. Chair, to staff. So, firstly, just confirming in item 7.3 or paragraph 7.3, it identifies $10,000. Is that what we perhaps in the last year have lost through this timing?
So through the chair, we have not lost any funds through this item in the past because of the nature of how little we were borrowing and how they were structured, as I mentioned, as serial debentures. So now that we flip, this is where that comes into much greater play. So this is now will be an issue we're facing going forward. So, but historically, because we were issuing lower dollar debentures in a different format, it wasn't as much of an issue for us.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chair, I'd like to propose an amendment to add to this committee the chair of Finance and Administration and one other member of Regional Council.
Okay. Mayor Schumer making an amendment to add 2 members to the committee, being the chair of finance as well as one designated member of council. Do I have a seconder for that? I don't have a seconder, but perhaps I'm supposed to have a seconder before we can speak to it, so it's not in order. Okay, Councillor Leahy is seconding it. Councillor Schumer, could you speak to your reasons why, and then I'll ask for a staff response as well before we take the vote. So, Mayor Schumer, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I fully understand the basis of having this committee. I understand that a number of other municipalities do have them, but I'm a little uncomfortable with the size of the committee. Some of the other municipalities itemized in the report have larger committees. I know we want to keep obviously an odd number on it, but I think it would be prudent that we have 2 other members, 2 other elected members from council, and one of them obviously would make sense to be the chair of the finance committee. So that is the reasoning for my amendment.
Commissioner, do you want to speak from a staff response? Our legal counsel is here. I think the motion is in order. Anyway, I'll let the commissioner speak from a staff perspective on why or why not that may be a good idea. But thank you for your motion, Mayor Schumer. Commissioner?
So certainly through the chair, and so I'll give a quick answer, and if my staff have anything to interject, I'll ask them. But under 4.6, it says section 23.1 tells you who can be appointed. So there isn't any legislative concern to my knowledge. Really, our only attempt was to make this very quick and agile, because we may have less than 24 hours to say we need to get the committee together to vote to close the deal and sign the bylaws. So the size was selected solely for speed of approving the bylaws. And as I say, the amount of the debt has already been approved. All of that stuff has been done. So we were just trying to be quick and easy, but I am at the will of committee for what they'd like.
Okay. Councillor Wu, you want to enter in debate or question to staff?
Well, just on that, and if I look at 7.1, and the venture committees are not new. It states that they are in the city of Toronto, Ottawa, and the region of York and Peel. Now, composition of those, would they be similar to what we're proposing here with the regional chair, CAO, and the commissioner of finance?
Through the chair, I'll actually have to ask whether Dwayne is aware of the composition of those.
One sec, we'll get your speaker on. There it is.
Perfect, thank you. Through the chair, so when we prepared this report, we did review the information from York and Peel. We will be very similar in composition. They might have, I would have to double check, but they might have one extra member in some of those, but that would be it.
And I think the idea, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, does not preclude, now it says in the report that there could be a designate. So the chair of finance could be the designate. Is that correct?
Through the chair, that's correct. So each member that's appointed by this committee has a designate that, so if Chair Henry is unavailable, he could easily actually ask Chair Ash to be the designate.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further debate? Councillor Leahy.
Thank you, Chair. So appreciate that concern and put on the floor so we have the more fulsome discussion. But again, just in thought of the nimble nature and the request of the committee, I think it probably makes sense to go with the way it was proposed by staff. Like it's already money that we've already approved. It's going to be in budget. And then I guess my follow-up question is that I assume anything that goes to debenture at some point we would see a report that it went to debenture for cost X at some point.
Through the chair, oh yes, we would report back at the next convenient Finance and Admin Committee meeting of the results, and particularly this committee would like to know what the interest rates actually were on that. So absolutely, we would report as an information item.
Yeah, and that will be sufficient for me. So looking at the nimble nature and knowing that's already approved by council and the committee, and that Chair Henry's the only member of council that's here every day. I can't speak. I can only speak for myself. I know I'm not, and I live a block away. So it's so yeah. So I guess to me, I think I would rather do the structure that's proposed by staff, and if there's any issues, we can revisit. So that's why I won't be supporting the amendment that's on the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further debate on the amendment? Being that, I'm going to call the question on the proposed amendment, which was duly moved by Mayor Schumer and second by Councillor Leahy, that we amend the committee to include the chair of finance and one other member of council. The motion is in order. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That item is defeated. Main motion is duly moved and seconded. Any further debate on the main motion and the report? Nobody in my speakers list, so I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That item is carried. Next item is report 8.2C, financial securities acceptance for development agreements. It's a report from the commissioner. Commissioner, do you want to speak to it?
Through the chair, this issue has been one that has been raised by many municipalities as well as the region's been approached a number of times over the years to look at surety bonds. And the original format of surety bonds were more like an insurance policy where you had to prove that you were entitled to the money. But that has now changed. So surety bonds are now legislatively similar to letters of credit. So we've been approached to modernize our policies. And as mentioned in the report as well, the province has indicated that this is going to be required, but the regulation hasn't been put forward yet. So we don't know the exact format of that. But we decided, particularly in light of the support we're trying to give to housing, that if we have a little bit of a more modernized setup for surety bonds, that would be an assistance that's provided for the development community. Thank you.
Commissioner, I understand it's the development community supports this because it's less costly and more doesn't tie up capital.
That's correct. Through the chair, for letters of credit, you pretty much have to have collateral for the entire value of the letter of credit. Surety bonds are set up a little bit differently. They are still, as I say, we're now fully guaranteed and able to pull money as we see fit. So that concern has been removed, but it is significantly more affordable, as I understand it, for the development community.
Right. Any questions of the report? Councillor Wu.
Again, and thank you to the chair and to the commissioner. I see here, now this is more in 2.12, and I notice within your region, and we have members of this committee where on Ajax, Pickering, Whitby, they're looking at this as a pilot project or policy, and I can add that the municipality of Clarington will be looking at this also. Now, my question would be on 4.4, and as it's occurred, cash will be accepted in place of a letter of credit and surety bond. So are we actually, somebody walking in with a briefcase, are we accepting cash?
Through the chair, and thank you for asking me this question earlier. My apologies. We refer to it as cash, but it would be a certified check that would be required to come in. We certainly wouldn't accept significant dollars of cash. So thank you for clarifying that. But it would be a certified check, which we consider to be an equivalent. And then with respect to your note on the other municipalities, the area treasurers have been chatting about this for a while, and I've agreed to send them a copy of this report. So some of them have already been doing this, and others, I think, are going to use some of these templates and likely work through that process as well. So, thank you.
Councillor Leahy.
Thank you. Well, it's nice to know we're not having bags of cash flowing around, so that's great. The other pieces around, so again, I was trying to understand the different, like what's, and I know you spoke to it, but what's truly the difference between a letter of credit and a surety bond? Like I know you're saying this is more efficient, it's better, but what, I'm still unclear of what the ultimate difference, because we can draw on it, it's a security, it's required. Like I'm just, can you explain to me more in terms that I can understand?
So through the chair, the letters of credit have always been a go-to, I'll say, for municipalities because they were irrevocable and unconditional. So it did not matter what the proponent said. If the treasurer of the municipality, whatever municipality is, decided that there's default or the works department decided default and approached legal and finance, we would simply send a letter to the bank and say, give us the money. And they would have no choice but to simply send us the money. And a lot of our developers actually, with some of our complex agreements, they don't want to deal with all of the actual cash flow, so they post letters of credit as a matter of choice. And they tell us, instead of sending us an invoice and us having to send you checks, send us a letter and tell us how much you're going to draw the LC on. So letters of credit are almost like cash, whereas the surety bonds traditionally were like an insurance policy, which meant you had to prove your claim. So that's why municipalities did not go very far. They always said they were easy to use, but when we're dealing with tens and hundreds of millions at a regional level, we weren't really supportive of having that question mark around having to prove that claim. So the surety market has responded to that in very recent years and changed their product so that now it acts very similar to a letter of credit. The difference is in how they charge their client and what they call these bonds. So it's a different product than what they used to have. It's a bit of a different process to draw down, but the product now provides essentially the same level of comfort. It's probably still a little bit easier from a time perspective to get a letter of credit because we simply send the letter to the bank and the money gets deposited. But at least now we don't have the concern that we have to debate with the surety company whether we're entitled to it. That's been removed. So maybe it'd take a couple more days to get the funds, but it's not what it used to be where we had a concern that if the company said, well, we don't agree that our client has defaulted, then the municipality would be left holding the bag. So that's all been resolved on that side of things.
Okay, so that kind of makes more sense, but if it's, and then the main benefit why someone would pick a surety bond over a line of credit was around cost, so they're sold for a little bit less, is that really the main benefit?
So the way that they are structured through the client is a little bit different. So from my understanding from a letter of credit is you have to have 100% collateral, dollar for dollar, for the letter of credit, and you can't double up on that or anything else. So it costs a lot. They essentially pay an interest fee as if it's a loan. so they're quite expensive
Got it.
in some cases. Whereas a surety bond, I haven't looked at the pricing of them, but as far as I would understand, it's based on the dollar value, and it would be more like a premium, I would suggest, that the developer has to pay. I'm not, that side of it, I wanted to make sure that we were protected. The side of it of how the developer pays, I'm not, I didn't do a huge amount of work on it, but I assume it's more like a premium that they pay as opposed to, and whatever arrangements that the surety company is comfortable providing their guarantees, it would be between them and the entities.
Got it. Okay, so we can still draw on it anytime we need. It's cheaper for the end user, so there's real no drawback.
No, at this point, that's why we're prepared to bring it forward in, because the legislation, the regulation is going to be coming that the province requires it, and if it came midsummer, I didn't want us to not have a policy in place in order to make sure that we have rules around the ones we accept. So that's the one plus to having a policy, is it dictates the credit level of the bonding company. So that allows us, similar to how we deal with banks, we have rules around which banks can provide letters of credit. We'll have the same for the surety bonds.
Okay, no, I appreciate your foresight, so we don't have to have an emergency committee meeting. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for the questions. Any further questions or debate on the report? Being done, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That item is carried. That completes the financial reports. I'm going to go back to the delegations. We have one delegation today, and that's Miss Patricia Conlon. And her topic is in regards to digital transformation and smart initiatives in Durham Region. Patricia, can you please come forward? And under the rules, we give 5 minutes to the delegation. And members of the committee do have your letter as well as your slides, but you do have 5 minutes.
Okay.
And the 5 minutes will start when you begin speaking.
Is the mic's on? Okay. Thank you for your time this morning. For those of you who do not know me, I've lived in Durham Region for 17 years. My late husband and I came here to help with job creation. We purchased a GM dealership many years ago. My children were born here and go to school here. I'm a twice published author on health and resilience, and I run a talent solutions and leadership development company. I represent a group of local citizens that have concerns with smart city and digital transformation and discriminatory spending on special interest groups. Chief among our concerns are policies and expenses approved by Durham Region to conform with the UN Programs for Sustainability, Equity, and Inclusiveness under Agenda 2030. Particularly for climate change. Increasingly, we are hearing hand-picked climate experts claim that we need radical measures to reduce CO2 emissions in Canada, despite many reputable scientists contesting this statement and the obvious fact that Canada is already a carbon-neutral country. Years ago, our community listened to so-called experts and implemented policies during COVID which were harmful and created division and economic disaster for Durham residents. Dissenting voices were silenced and censored. Many families in this region were impacted by what we now know to be unscientific lockdowns and mandates. Small businesses were destroyed while big global businesses were allowed to stay open. Our kids were kept out of school longer than anywhere in the world here in Durham, and they've become depressed and have fallen behind academically. We have drug addiction, and suicide is skyrocketing. All the policies went against our constitutional rights. Years later, the most respected scientific publication in the world, The Lancet, concluded lockdowns and mandates did far more harm than good. The experts were wrong. I say this in order that we may learn from our past and avoid repeating the same mistakes. Again, now our community is told to trust experts who claim we need to implement more taxes to offset carbon emissions, along with track and trace, digital and smart technology because of climate change. But this simply isn't true. Carbon dioxide is life-giving and represents less than 0.05% of atmospheric gases. It's good for the planet, our plants need it, and so do our farmers. We don't have enough. Like zero COVID, zero CO2 is reckless and a harmful goal. Dr. Patrick Moore, who's a Canadian and co-founder of Greenpeace and current director of CO2 Coalition, dispels the climate and CO2 myths with actual science. I provided the links. We strongly maintain Durham doesn't need carbon footprint taxes or any additional taxes, including increases to property taxes. Many families in this community are already suffering from massive price hikes to energy, inflation, job loss, continued division fueled by media and government policies. Durham Region needs to focus on spending in areas that build community and unity, provide jobs, and reduce taxes instead of investing in smart or digital initiatives that are also an assault on privacy. While I fully support sustainability and am a proponent of organic and regenerative farming, I reject the policies that are focused on penalizing residents for carbon dioxide emissions, and particularly penalizing our farmers for using nitrogen as a fertilizer to produce food in our region. With the influx of money Durham may have received from the government, tax cuts should be implemented, and no one should be forced to adopt so-called green energies that aren't even practical or good for the environment. Many are not aware that electric vehicle batteries, including cobalt, are mined in slave-like degrading conditions and extremely toxic for the environment, creating lithium pools. Windmills have limited capabilities and are decimating bird and whale life. We're making a mistake by moving away from our ethical natural resources, which are plentiful, safe. Increasing energy costs is wrong and unnecessary. Another concern about smart city and digital transformations comes with physical infrastructure, where there's a growing concern of the negative impacts on human health with 5G technology, LED lighting, and EMF radiation on human health. Recently, a group of qualified scientists presented on this danger to the Canadian government. Finally, a group of residents, which is growing, are also calling on the region of Durham to stop spending taxpayers' hard-earned money on special interest groups. Why is Durham Region discriminating by promoting one group for an entire month at the expense of others? This is not equitable. Why are seniors not given a flag and month-long celebration? Why not families, women, Christians, Muslims, and those of Jewish descent? All have been historically repressed. Durham Region needs to focus on spending that unifies all residents instead of creating division and being discriminatory in their spending. A group of parents also do not want...
Ms. Conlon?
I'm almost finished.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
was going to ask you to wrap up.
Yep, thanks so much. Also, parents don't want spending on education instead of sexualization of our children. This is a huge issue. My delegation calls on Durham Region to reverse the recent increase in property taxes, stop spending on digital surveillance and CO2 tracking technology, assist farmers by eliminating CO2 taxes and nitrogen limits to ensure our community's food quality and security, implement an independent review of the safety of 5G towers and technology, ban the purchase and implementation of new blue or purple LED streetlights and facial recognition cameras, and end discriminatory spending on special interest groups that do not represent the values or choices of most citizens, and unify citizens with our spending, which we greatly need. I'd like to request a follow-up meeting with council to go over each area in more detail with experts, and appreciate your time and can take questions now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Conlon. Thank you for your comments today. Is there any questions of the delegate? Any questions of the delegate? Nobody electronically is offering any comments to you or any questions to you. So I want to thank you for taking the time to share your concerns with us today. And certainly we've heard your request, and we'll get back to you in regards to it.
Okay, so would it be through email or phone call? What would be the next step in a follow-up meeting on some of these points, just to clarify?
Well, we'll review the comments and see who the appropriate staff member might be.
Okay.
But it'll be through either the clerk's office or the chair's office.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you
Wonderful.
so much for your presentation today. Appreciate you taking the time. Ladies and gentlemen, revert back to the agenda under 9. There's no resolutions. There's no confidential matters. Is there any other business to be raised? Day of the next meeting is Tuesday, September 12th. Motion to adjourn moved by Chair Henry, second by Counselor Leahy. All those in favor? Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you for coming today.